In this video, I'm going to be talking about whether or not the neck can be causing your dizziness. Welcome to the Vertigo Recovery Doctor. I'm Dr. Kevin Smith, and I not only want to help you figure out what's causing your vertigo, but also how to recover from it. The best way to get my help is if you hit that subscribe button and the little bell right next to it to get alerts whenever I come out with new helpful videos. Now, let's talk about this issue of what we call cervicogenic dizziness, or the possibility of your neck causing dizziness. And yes, the answer is yes, that you can have dizziness that's coming from some kind of neck problem. But let's first look at what might be causing that issue. Now, the neck has a lot of different receptors. Well, all over your body, you have a lot of different receptors telling you where your joints and where your muscles are in space. We call that proprioception, and that falls under the somatosensory system. Your ability to feel touch falls under that as well. But with proprioception, there's a lot of different receptors in the muscles, muscle spindles, and in the tendons, Golgi tendon organs, as well as in the joints. You get mechanoreceptors that are all sending signals on where your limbs and your joints and your muscles are in space, and particularly in the neck. There's a lot of signals that are being sent to give you a sense of where you are. Now, reasons that this might be impaired or causing dizziness is if you're having some kind of muscle imbalances, muscle tension, if you have some kind of strain or whiplash injury to the neck, maybe all those metabolic byproducts and inflammations getting in the way of those signals being sent, or the correct signals being sent. If you have some kind of chronic posture and you're getting issue and you're getting muscle imbalances from that, there's a whole list of reasons why the neck might be sending incorrect information to your brain on where you are in space and not lining up with all of your other sensory systems. Now, when we talk about this kind of irritation of the neck structures and posture and all that stuff, what does it actually feel like if you're experiencing this? How do you know if you are having cervicogenic dizziness? Oftentimes people are describing dizziness that's more of described of like a head up in the clouds. So it's not a room spinning type of vertigo. Usually that's more indicative of some kind of inner ear problem. It's usually more of a head swimming or a head bobbing or a lightheadedness feeling. Maybe people might describe more of a heavy-headedness or kind of like a head up in the clouds kind of feeling. So there's a little bit different, that's why those descriptors of what's causing or what your dizziness feels like is so important, because it does lead us down a different pathway of what might be causing your vertigo. Now, the potential for neck pain with dizziness is another thing that kind of leads us down this pathway of cervicogenic dizziness. Now, 85%, I think that's a statistic that in the research that is found of people, 85% of people have neck pain who have dizziness. So, there's a high likelihood that if you're dizzy, you probably have neck pain. There's a lot of different reasons for that. Usually when people are dizzy, they're not wanting to turn their head much, because oftentimes that's making people's dizziness worse, and then neck stiffness kind of sets on. And that's one of the things that you look for with cervicogenic dizziness, is if you have neck pain along with it. Now, I'll tell you, a lot of my patients don't have neck pain, but I do think that they do have cervicogenic dizziness, or at least their neck is causing part of the problem. Now, the reason is because you can have a proprioception issue where you're not getting the correct signals to your brain on where your neck is in space without having some kind of neck pain. And so this maybe you might have some more neck stiffness or some kind of other impairments, but I wouldn't say that you have to have neck pain in order to have cervicogenic dizziness. But it is something that's very, very common with that problem. Now, the other thing to look at and to pay attention to is when are the symptoms coming on. So with cervicogenic dizziness, let's talk about kind of, you got BPPV, which is going to come on with a neck position that's kind of straining your neck. But you could also be having cervicogenic dizziness. Now, the one thing to differentiate, as we talked about earlier, is it spinning sensation, which is more BPPV, or is it more of like a head swimming, disorientation, lightheadedness feeling, which might be more of a cervicogenic dizziness. The other thing to look at is are your symptoms persisting when you're laying down, or are they lasting less than a minute? Lasting less than a minute would be more BPPV. If they kind of persist the longer you stay there, it's possible that's more of a neck problem. Excuse me. Now, the other thing to pay attention to is if you're in kind of a prolonged position of your neck. So let's say you're looking down at your phone or at a book, reading for a while, and then when you come up, you're experiencing dizziness. Less likely that BPPV is causing that problem, more likely that you're experiencing cervicogenic dizziness just from that chronic posture and neck position as kind of straining your neck. And then when you come back up, you're getting that dizziness. And you may also experience this if you're watching TV and you're either laying on the couch with your neck flexed up or turned for a prolonged period of time, and then your dizziness is kind of coming on. These are things that you want to look for. Is it a neck position that's triggering your dizziness, or is it just a positional change? And sometimes it's a little difficult, but I'm hoping that helps you differentiate a little bit between what might be causing your dizziness. Now, when we talk about head turns could be, you're turning your head, you could be getting dizziness from either an inner ear problem because you are stimulating that inner ear whenever you turn your head, or from the neck because you're also moving the neck, right? Now, if you're getting dizzy while you're turning your head, I would expect more of an inner ear issue or the neck. But if you're getting dizzy while your head is turned and you're not moving your head, then maybe we're thinking more of a neck problem. So no movement associated with that. Your head is turned and you're just there and you're getting some dizziness. So when we look at treatment for cervicogenic dizziness, some of the people fall into two categories, and sometimes they do overlap. But one category is that you're stiff, so we call that hypomobile. You're not moving enough. The other category is you're loose, so you're kind of that loosey-goosey. You're moving too much. So the stiff, we need to get more mobility. Usually you probably have more arthritis, stiffness in the joints. You can't turn your head as much. You probably know if you're in that stiff category. Things we can do is help mobilize the joints and provide a little bit more, maybe you're more on that stretching route, range of motion. If you're in the kind of hypermobile or loose category, then we're going to be looking at providing more stability. Now, an interesting thing is that a lot of times when people are in that loose category, they're also feeling a lot of tightness in their neck muscles, probably because those muscles are having to work so hard to keep your neck stable, or you're using the wrong muscles to provide stability, because those more deeper ones that you're supposed to be using are too weak. And that's why they're all tight all the time, even though you probably have a little bit more of a hypermobility problem. So we have to give you some stability exercise. We have to start training the correct muscles that should be providing that stability. So avoid prolonged neck positions, either looking down or torsion. So change how you're watching TV if that is what's causing your vertigo. Change your posture. Also with phone or book, bring it up to your line of sight instead of looking down at it. So either prop your arms up on pillows or something like that to help you so your shoulders don't get fatigued while you're reading something. And then another thing to do is so changing those two changing the positions of your neck and not being in a prolonged position for too long, but then also we may want to consider why are you, maybe if you're overusing some of those neck muscles that you're not supposed to be, why is that happening? Is it because you don't have enough mobility in the back, or maybe you have some weakness in your scapular muscles and that's why you're overusing the wrong muscle? Some things to look at. But I hope this was helpful for you to try and figure out if your neck is causing your dizziness, if it was, then feel free to subscribe to my channel and get more helpful videos. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out and I would be happy to help. Thank you for watching, and hope you have a wonderful day or night.